to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, powered by FC Cincinnati supporters. Get in touch, soccer fans. Email us at cincysoccertalk@spmt.tv. Now, here is your host, Nick Suberlin.
Hey, what's happening, Cincinnati Soccer Talkers? Welcome to episode 94 of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Glad you're with us here on this fine Monday evening. Got a lot to discuss. Mitch Hildebrandt says bye. That's right, Mitch Hildebrandt on his way to Major League Soccer and Atlanta United. We'll talk about his departure from Cincinnati. We also found out today that Austin Berry has announced his retirement of his playing career here in the Queen City. He will stay on as a full-time coach with FC Cincinnati. And, of course, we've got new FC Cincinnati goalkeeper coach Jack Stern joining us here in just a few minutes. It's a good show. You won't want to miss it, so make sure you stay tuned and keep listening here on this fine podcast. Of course, we're going to be joined by my tag team partners this week, Brian Weigel, Rob Pierce, and, of course, Boston Brazil. But first, we've got one business item to get to.
Captains!
Hey, we've got an episode captain this week, Josh Staley. We've got to give it up for Josh, right? Give him a clap. He's our episode captain this week. We're in the armband here on this episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Josh, thank you very much for your support of our show and our website. If you are interested in wearing the armband for an episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, log on to cincinnati-soccertalk.com/support. Now let's welcome in my tag team partners for this week. I'll start with the one and only Brian Weigel. Brian, how are you?
Not too shabby, man. It's kind of getting real now. You know, we got our stadium deal passed. We're shipping off Jeff Birding and Carl up to New York on Wednesday. So yeah, it's getting for real.
It is, and I'm sure a lot of folks are clamoring more and more for more signings, which I'm sure will happen over the next few weeks as well. But I'm interested to get your thoughts and your take on Mitch Hildebrandt leaving the Tri-State, which I'm sure we'll talk about in depth this week.
I mean, I got a big mouth, so we'll touch on it, I'm sure.
All right. Glad to have you back here on the show this week. That's the face of Rob Pierce making his triumphant return to the podcast. Rob, what's going on, man?
Hey, Subes. How's everybody doing tonight? I was going to suggest that we do this podcast tonight at Paul Brown Stadium if we ever wanted a new studio. But we can't do that tonight because it's being used right now. And to all of you tuning in live, thank you for picking us over the Bengals. Nobody wants to watch the Bengals anymore, right? Come on, hang out with us instead. We'll have some fun. But hey, if you are watching the Bengals and you're downloading the podcast after the fact, well, we won't hold that against you. We still love you anyway.
That's right. Couldn't tell you the last Bengals game I watched, Rob. It's been a long time. But glad to have you back. And, of course, last but not least, Boston Brazil. Boston, how are you, buddy?
Doing well, Mr. Watch Your Tackles. I had a blast at the end of the year DI party. It was good to see all those pretty soccer faces I've been missing this offseason. I do have one concern I needed to raise with you. Our newest writer, Rob, put out a piece today. I think it's the first of a series of why FC Cincinnati deserves MLS. Did you not get the memo from the Cincinnati Media Association? It is my understanding that we are to be as negative as possible to stop anything good from being in Cincinnati. I mean, we're supposed to push things along until it gets to that finish line and then crush and kill it.
And
Yeah, I did not get that memo. No.
Well played, Boston. Well played. Yeah, it's been a weird few days for our media in the Queen City covering FC Cincinnati. So, yeah, that's well done. I like the Christmas tree. If you're listening to the podcast, this is more of a reason why you should tune in live every Monday night at 9:00 because you get to see Boston's awesome FC Cincinnati Christmas tree. Do you want to describe it a little bit, Boston?
Well, it's very hard to find a royal blue FC Cincinnati colored Christmas tree. So what I did was ordered it online, like any good person that can't find things in the store. And then I picked up some FC Cincinnati ornaments, orange ornaments, and got it ready. Still missing the topper. Going to custom build something pretty cool. But
Well said.
My wife's making me keep it up here.
All right.
Not
well, it looks good. I really do dig it. It's pretty neat. So, yeah, good stuff there. Looking forward to getting everybody's thoughts again. As I mentioned, the departures of Mitch Hildebrandt, FC Cincinnati goalkeeper, now applying his trade in Major League Soccer with Atlanta United. You talk about going from one raucous fan base to another. Good for Mitch. But before we can talk about that, Why don't we welcome in the newest member of the FC Cincinnati staff. He's the one and only goalkeeper coach for FC Cincinnati, Jack Stern, and he joins us now on the Kings Hammer Hotline. Coach, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are you?
Hi, guys. Thanks. It's great to speak to you tonight. It's great to be on, and I'm excited to speak to you guys tonight.
Well, we're excited to have you in the Queen City. Let's talk about that. How did it all come about? How did you end up here in the Tri-State? What made you want to come to FC Cincinnati?
I met Alan on our Canadian A license a couple of years ago. So I showed an extra interest in how FC Cincinnati were getting on over the last couple of years, and me and Alan stayed in touch. Obviously, I know the assistant coach, Johan, was at Montreal Impact before. So, I had a good relationship with those guys already, and I was really interested in what was going on in Cincinnati. And when the opportunity came up now to come and join and to come and be part of what seems like something really special, then it was a great opportunity, and I'm more than happy to be here now and to be looking forward to next season with the club.
Hi, Coach Brian here. Thanks for coming on. I'm sure if you're listening to the podcast or listening live here on the show on Facebook or YouTube, you hear a little bit of an accent there from Coach Stern. So give us your story. Where did you grow up and fall in love with the beautiful game?
So I grew up in England. I grew up playing in England. Had a career that was in the lower leagues. Before that, I was at the academy of Wimbledon, so the club that no longer exists, Wimbledon FC. When they were in the Premier League, I was in the academy there. Played in the lower leagues in England. Then got into coaching pretty early. Decided, I knew that I could have, maybe a decent pro career, but wanted to get into coaching early. So in England, got into coaching very early and ended up with West Brom and had a long period coaching there in the academy. So then found my way over to Montreal and now Cincinnati. So it's been a bit of a journey, yeah.
Hey, this is Boston. Good to meet you. And
Hi,
you described that Coach A license process earlier. Wanted to know, how does that help you? I guess going through, the USL is requiring a higher level of coaching licenses now. Is that what is required of the USL now? And was it beneficial?
Yeah, it was definitely beneficial. I think courses like that, they just encourage you to think a little bit differently. They take you outside your comfort zone. Obviously, you meet different people. You get to have a lot of good conversations. So on those courses, there's obviously the coaching that you learn, but also just interacting with people, sharing ideas. They're a really important part of progressing as a coach. And I'm like that. I want to progress myself. I like to push myself to always improve. And likewise, Alan and Johan too, and that's why we're all on the course. But it's definitely a valuable thing to do, and that's going to help us. The experiences of things like that will help us, help the players in Cincinnati.
Hey, Coach, Rob Pierce here. What's the normal game week for a goalkeeper coach if you have a match on Saturday? Walk us through your process of how you prepare for that.
Yeah, sure. So a normal week. With a goalkeeper, we'd usually spend the first day after potentially a day off. So the first day of the week, there might be a Monday leading into a Saturday game, probably more technical based. The goalkeeper seeing the ball a lot, getting to feel the ball, getting to feel good about the basic techniques of goalkeeping. And then as we progress through the week, everyone works differently. So at every club it's different and every coach is different. Me personally, as the week progresses towards the game, I like to focus the goalkeepers training on the next opponent that we're going to play. So, depending on what their tendencies might be, if it's a team that is known for putting a lot of crosses into the box and a direct team like that we're preparing to face, then our training will focus more on that leading up to that game in the week. Likewise, if we're playing a team who are known for lots of quick passing and getting into 1v1 and close range reaction situations, then we'll focus more on that. So I really like to analyze the opposition that we're going to play and then sort of tailor the goalkeepers training towards that. So every week will look different. We'll have a base, but every week will be slightly different depending on who we're playing and also potentially how we plan to play against that team. So I think that way it keeps it interesting too for the goalkeepers and keeps everyone on their toes.
Sure. Now, do you use a lot of video in your game day preparations?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. A lot of video. I like to analyze the opposition. So, for the last year here in Montreal, what we were doing with the goalkeepers, what I was doing is watching all of the outfield players for the opposition. So all of their attacking players, their strikers, their wingers, their midfielders, their fullbacks, and looking at their tendencies and basing our training on those tendencies, but also showing the goalkeepers those tendencies. So I would give that video to the goalkeepers. They would see that, understand what we were training for in the week. And I just think that helps us be more prepared for them to understand why we were training in that way. And I definitely found that it was helpful. That's the best way to prepare for a game and for your opponents.
Now, okay, so it seems like you got a lot going on during the week, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. With FC Cincinnati, we had 2 full-time coaches, and then the rest of the staff was filled out with, quote-unquote, part-time coaches.
Yeah.
What's going to differentiate yourself from our previous coaches, and how important is it to have full-time staff, especially for a role such as a goalkeeper?
Yeah. Well, I definitely think that it's important to have a full-time coach in that position. It's really much more than just the training each day and then the game day. There's so much preparation. So, like I just talked about, all the video that you do and all the planning that you do, that takes you past the 9-to-5 job. So there's a lot of office work involved in it too. So for sure, it's important to be full-time. And in terms of what I can bring and what I can, help bring to the club is just, a lot of professionalism. I've been doing this for a number of years now at a good level. I've worked with lots of different coaches. I've worked in different countries and in different languages too. So working a lot with French players, Italian players, South American players, as well as English and North American players. And, just bringing together all that experience, I feel like I've had a lot of different experiences and being able to bring that all together and really hopefully put something together in Cincinnati that's going to be special and really effective and help us have success.
No, we were just mentioning the fact that FC Cincinnati former goalkeeper Mitch Hildebrandt has now moved on. He's going to Atlanta United. That means we're going to see a bunch of new faces here in between the posts for FC Cincinnati this summer. Give us a little bit of a scouting report of Mark Village and Spencer Ritchie.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Spencer actually played against me twice last season at Montreal. He played for Vancouver in the Canadian Championship, so I got to watch him from the bench twice. Spencer's a guy who already has good experience in the USL. He's played, I think, 27 games over the last couple of years in the USL, as well as being with the Whitecaps first team, and he played an MLS game last year. So he brings some good experience. He's a good age. He's young, but he's coming into the period of his career where he's starting to be more experienced. I think with Spencer, what you'll see, he's got a really nice, calm sort of mentality and attitude when he plays. He makes good decisions. Another thing I really like about Spencer is his ability to make saves with different parts of his body. So you'll see he'll be able to throw his chest in front of a ball. He'll be able to stick his foot out in the way of a shot just to make an effective save. So I think Spencer's a really good addition to the goalkeepers in Cincinnati. I'm looking forward to working with him. And Mark also, Mark's got the ability to make big saves. He's hardworking, a great guy by all accounts from people that I've spoken to. So I think that he's going to be really valuable too with his mentality and his professionalism in the role. So already we have 2 really good goalkeepers going into the season, and for me that's exciting. I'm excited about working with them. I'm motivated about working with 2 guys like that.
We hear goalkeepers are a bit nutty, right? They get the ball shot at them. You have to be a little bit crazy to do that job.
Yeah.
How do you coach or condition that? Steer the crazy in the right direction?
I think yeah, every goalkeeper is different. So the craziness or the bravery or whatever you want to call it comes out in different ways. And I think it's just encouraging the goalkeepers to be comfortable with that. When the goalkeepers train with me, I always try to emphasize that you put your body on the line no matter what. And the most important thing is that the ball stays out of the goal. So, that comes with being effective. So like I just talked about making foot saves, about making a save with your chest, however you can keep the ball out. A save is a save, and that's something that we focus on a lot in the week. Is yes, being technically good, but also actually just being effective. The most important thing for a goalkeeper is to keep the ball out of the net, to affect the ball in a positive way. So we have that mentality every session that we do, and when you train in the right environment, it becomes a habit, and it makes it easier to perform like that on every game day.
Coach, in addition to the new goalkeepers you have, in addition to you yourself being new, we're going to have a completely brand new back line. So a lot of new pieces for this defense. For Mark and Spencer, how do they make sure everybody gels together, and how challenging will that be for them?
I think that that will be a challenge, but that's our job as coaches and also as players to make sure that during the preseason we very quickly get familiar with each other. We have lots of time preseason, starting in January, and it gives us enough time to really form a strong group. And at the same time as it will be a challenge, I don't think it's a challenge that will be too big for us. And also there's something pretty cool and positive about having completely new faces, a completely fresh start. Everyone sort of, coming in at the same time and ready to prove their worth and fight for their spot. So I think it can be a really exciting thing there.
Now, Coach, we all want to push ourselves to the highest level. Of course, you're from England. Do you have any aspirations to get back there, or are you hoping to stay in North America for the long term?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any aspirations as of now to be back in England and to be working in England. I'm very focused on what we can do here in Cincinnati. And we never know, one day, in the future, maybe. But right now, my focus is completely on being in Cincinnati. And actually, I think that it's such an exciting project, and we don't really know the ceiling of what we can achieve here yet. We're all obviously hoping for good news, with the MLS and the expansion. So, I think that there's plenty here in Cincinnati to keep me interested and keep me entertained and working hard. So, yeah, right now, who knows what happens in the future, but right now I'm hoping for a good number of years of success with FC Cincinnati.
All right, Coach.
Real quick. Yeah. You got to coach Didier Drogba for a short amount of time. Can you give us a quick highlight of how he was to work with?
Yeah. Didier was fantastic, very demanding. So someone that wanted to win all the time. It didn't matter whether it was a fun training game or a MLS game in front of 50,000 people. He wanted to win. I think that helped rub off on everyone else at the club too. I think that's often a trait I've seen with top performers and the real top class players, is that they're competitive and they want to win, and everything matters in training. So he was fantastic like that, but he was also a great guy. He was able to speak to younger players, to be a good role model. So someone who worked very hard, who knew how good he was, but also didn't have too much of a big ego that he couldn't share with other people and help other people along. No, Didier, he had a fantastic effect in Montreal, and I think everyone was happy and proud to work with him. He had a great time here.
All right, Coach, I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, I'm sure you don't get to watch as much soccer as you would like, but I know you're not watching our live stream, so you can't see this Manchester United flag hanging up behind me here. But I got to ask, who's the best goalkeeper in the world right now?
Best goalkeeper in the world right now? For me, that has to be David De Gea. I'm a big fan. I think probably it's an easy time to say that after his performance against Arsenal this weekend. That was obviously fantastic. But no, I really like David De Gea. I've watched him, since he was young, since he was 18, 19, and arrived in England. And what I really like about him is how he's evolved his game and adapted to the English game. It was a little bit too physical for him at the start, but he adapted really well. And he's just a really, really good all-round goalkeeper. I would find it very hard to find a weak spot with David De Gea. He can make all types of saves. He's good on crosses now. His distribution's very good. So, yeah, for me it would be David De Gea, because he's still young too. He's still 27, so has lots of time ahead of him. He's still probably improving. So, yeah, I'll go for David De Gea.
You answered correctly, which means you can come back to our podcast anytime, Coach. I'll get you out of here on this final question. So, obviously you're new to the Queen City and probably not all that familiar with Cincinnati just yet, but we seem that I feel like we wrap up every one of these episodes or every one of these interviews with these players and coaches that are new to town. Have you had a chance to try Skyline Chili?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and you know what? Yes, I have. I
Really?
did try it.
Yes.
I was in Cincinnati maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago with my wife, We came to visit. We spent a couple of days here, and at the airport on our way out, we said to each other, "We've got to try this chili." So we tried it, and you know what? Both of us really liked it.
Now you can really come back, Coach.
No, honestly, we liked it. It was what sealed the deal. We weren't sure if we wanted to come to Cincinnati. We tried the chili, and we were sure.
That is fantastic. Coach, we appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. Looking forward to catching up with you during the season, and best of luck here with training camp coming up and our new goalkeepers here in town.
Absolutely. Thank you. No, it was a real pleasure to come on. Great to speak to you. I can just say once again how excited I am for the next season, how excited I am to be joining FC Cincinnati, and I look forward to arrive in January and to meet you all face to face and get started. So thanks very much, guys.
No problem. That's goalkeeper coach Jack Stern joining us here on the Kings Hammer Hotline. Really glad he joined us here this week on the show. Good stuff from Coach, and the fact that Skyline sealed the deal, guys. I mean, that's a big deal.
He's one of the first, right? We've had several people on the show, and either they're new to the area and haven't had a chance to try it yet, or I think last season Koch was a little strict on some of their dietary restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, come on, kale and chili don't mix very well, Boston. This is kind of one of the signings, like, of course, not player related, but still, it's a signing that gets me excited for the future of FC Cincinnati. That the ownership group is going to put up the money to get a veteran keeper coach to come in here and to work with our guys. It's extremely important that we put as much infrastructure in place to help our guys on the field as possible, to help even Coach Koch, prepare the team on game days. And this is a guy who's been there. He's been at high levels in Europe. He's been a goalkeeper coach in MLS, and he's also done a ton developing youth players in the Montreal Impact Youth Academy system. So, yeah, this seems like a great home run hire for a current USL club.
Yeah, this checks another one of the boxes for the expansion bid.
Yeah, that was good stuff, and I'm glad he joined us here on the show. Looking forward to hopefully to having him back on here in the near future. We're going to get to some more personnel moves. I mean, they are coming thick and fast. And I know last week we didn't devote as much time as we would have liked to, but really we save all that information for when Brian Weigel's on the show, because he's like an encyclopedia of USL players. It's unbelievable the amount of information this guy retains. So that's why we didn't do it last week, because we knew Brian was going to be here this week to talk about that.
You asked me a lower tier guy in North America, I'll probably be able to say something. But you asked me like a top level player in Europe, I ain't got you at all. So, as what Coach said earlier, we got two new goalkeepers. Mark Village, goalkeeper, 26-year-old. He came from Vancouver Whitecaps too, mostly a practice player. From what I've heard good things about him. Just he kind of wants. I heard he wants to get into coaching, so I don't know if he's brought in for more than just to be the second or third keeper for FC Cincinnati. But veteran guy, he's made a couple of big saves and some appearances for Vancouver Whitecaps too. But the guy who I've been saying for about a week now, who's the heir apparent to Mitch Hildebrandt, is Spencer Ritchie. This kid's a stud. I have no idea how Coach Koch pulled this off. Like, literally, this is a steal here, guys. This is a guy who could start for probably a third, if not more, teams in MLS, and we got him here at FC Cincinnati. So, 25-year-old keeper. He's got, I think, like 40 starts to his name as a pro, or maybe 30, 33, something like that. He's got quite a good resume coming in to hopefully be the starter for FC Cincinnati. You compare that to what we brought in with Mitch Hildebrandt when he first got here. Yeah, Mitch had talent. He did great over 2 years, but the resume just doesn't compare. Spencer Ritchie's, heads and toes above Mitch Hildebrandt coming into the club. So I'm really excited about that and see what those guys can do. And rumors there's a third keeper coming in. If we can bring in somebody above Spencer Ritchie, that would blow my mind. But I think we should be in absolutely capable hands with Ritchie. Got two other guys that came in. We'll hit on Russell Cicerone here, 22-year-old forward from the Portland Timbers 2 system. Didn't have a really good year, but he's known for kind of what he did in college at Buffalo, and then in the PDL for Michigan Bucks. He won the 2015 PDL championship, I believe. And this kid banged in like a goal a game through his PDL career. It's insane. I mean, 20 some odd goals through his career. That's absolutely incredible. And he scored just as well in Mid-American Conference play for Buffalo. So a young guy, very raw, but I think he has a knack to get to goal. I don't imagine we'll see him much this season, but you never know how it's going to work out. And then the guy who kind of snuck in on the 3-person press release with FC Cincinnati last week or week and a half ago is a guy by the name of Will Seymour. He's a 25-year-old D-mid, can also play a little center back, also out of the Vancouver Whitecaps 2 system. This is a kid who I think might start on the bench at the beginning of the year, but would not shock me if he's in the starting 11 for like the last 10 matches of the season for FC Cincinnati. He's a late bloomer. He's very athletic, can pass the ball. The guys up in AFTN up in Canada think the world of this guy. I think he was on a trial with Rochester as a center back and just kind of is learning that D-mid role. And as you know, I think the sky's the limit with this kid. Vancouver Whitecaps 2 passed. Of course, I think they're shutting down, and I think this is kind of one of their best signings that we could grab off this team. So really excited for those 4 players. Just remember the name Will Seymour coming into, or at least the last third of the season.
I told you knew it all.
Yeah,
I tried. I got to take a breath in there too.
So do you even give a thumbs up for the Cincinnati Whitecaps?
Yeah, man. No, the Orange Caps.
Orange
Caps.
Okay, all right.
The Orange Caps. Yes, Griffin, I think, or somebody. I don't know.
Or the
Love
Orange Caps.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a roster and you see, okay, yeah, you brought in 3 MLS2 guys this year, and then we did the same thing kind of last year with Melee and Marco. I just think these guys are a little bit of a different level, especially just because of the people who I talk to up there. They normally shoot straight with us. And they kind of said the same thing about DeVitt. He's a quality guy. He's just a little raw, but they're really singing the praises of the Seymour guy. And he's also, I think, him and both Village wore the captain's armband at points for Vancouver Whitecaps too. So if you haven't heard some things going on, Village, Seymour, Richie, the 2 center backs. I mean, they've all kind of been the leader on their teams this year. So these are really great characteristics that Coach Koch is bringing, and even on guys lower down on the squad sheet.
Good stuff there from Bry. And again, if you want more information on these new signings, make sure you head on over to our website, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, for more information. All right, it's the first week of the month, which means we have to salute our supporters. So I'm going to be reading off every single name of our supporters here that have joined us on this journey of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Again, if you want to support our show, log on to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. So we got to give it up first and foremost to John Davidson, Jesse Gill, Matt Adamczyk, Tim Bronzo, and King's Hammer for their support. The Bryans from Queen City Mafia, Patrick Lonnie, Arthur Oliva, Dave Tangler, Griffin, Pat Suberling, Mama Subs, Yersky, Mike Berryman, Reese Johnson, Brian Malone, Alex Pennington, Chris DeMeo, Claire Hughes, Carl Fight, Scott Griffith, Josh Lease, I don't know, it's probably Lease. Sorry, Josh, if I butchered it. My bad. Jamie Smed, Kevin Johnston, Mike Hudson, Jonas Tom, Harry Austin, Derek Smed, Jack Emery, Greg Harrell, Jack Doyle, Walker Tice, of course, Josh Staley wearing the armband this week as the episode captain of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, Doug Ross, the Cincy superfan Tom Grabo, Teresa Everidge, Beverly Spurger, Christina Haithcote, Matt Imholt, Chris Howard, Mike Bowman, Sarah Spriggs, Paul Hetker, Michael Winland, Mattis Brumbach, Courtney Rice, Scott Party, Jesse Gill again. He did it twice. That's how much he supports our show. Joe Collier, Richard Rolson, Andy Rosen. How about that? 54 supporters of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and we appreciate your generosity. Log on to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support to get your name added to this list. That list grew like double from what happened last week.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, everyone.
It is pretty crazy. So again, thank you for your support. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. All right, guys. Now comes the tough part of the show. We get to talk about this is the sore subject for a lot of people because a lot of folks were upset over the weekend, and it was one of our most read articles in the history of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, one of the most shared articles on Facebook for us, one of the most reached articles on Facebook for us. And really, anytime you mention the word Mitch and this club, it evokes a reaction. And it was announced, I believe it was on Thursday night, it might have even been Friday night, that he has he's left the Queen City and is now signed with Atlanta United. Now, I know we've got some good goalkeepers coming in, and they've got some pretty big shoes to fill with Mitch Hildebrandt, guys. And I've seen a lot of comments on social media about how much folks are going to miss Mitch. I've seen a lot of comments on Facebook about how people thought the keepers we have now might be an upgrade to what we had in Mitch. What you can't deny is that he was the icon. I mean, he was what people saw with FC Cincinnati, whether it was the clap at the end of games, his big saves against the Chicago Fire. I mean, he was, what's the word? There's a better term I'm looking for. He's what people thought of when it came to FC Cincinnati. So,
face of the franchise?
Face of the
definitely
franchise.
the face
Thank
of the
you.
club.
That's what I was looking for. I appreciate you guys filling that in there.
He ended up on Cincinnati Magazine, so that's cool.
Yeah. First and foremost, I think I speak for all of us here when we say we weren't surprised Mitch wasn't back this season. The fact that they signed these two goalkeepers and hadn't made the announcement about Mitch staying, I think it's safe to assume, Rob, that we weren't surprised that he left. I'm kind of surprised he got a gig in Major League Soccer as potentially a backup to Brad Guzan down in Atlanta. But I think ultimately we're all kind of on the same page here that this wasn't a surprise that he's not back in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Especially with the Seymour announcement, that was a loan, if I'm not mistaken. The Whitecaps would not loan him over here.
Richie.
That's right. You're right. I'm sorry. The Whitecaps would not loan him over if he were just going to sit on the bench. So clearly, he's going to get a significant amount of playing time, and I think Mitch saw that. This is one that stung a little bit for me. I do have a brief anecdote to share. I told Mitch this when I interviewed him for the Listerman story. It was just kind of a way to break the ice. Whenever I would go to see FCC games the last 2 years, I would tell my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, that I was going to see Mitch, and she responded with the Mitch says no chant. But I get it. It's part of the business, and like all our other supporters, I just wish him nothing but the best and hope he really does well in Atlanta.
I mean, yeah, he'll do good in Gwinnett, I think.
Dang, bro, you went there already?
Well, Boston wasn't talking, so I figured I had to do it.
Mitch, whether you think he fell off a little bit last year or not, he was great. He was a great foundational member of this club. I believe we tweeted out when he left, both him and Dallas J, you both were here from the beginning. You came here and trusted something and had no idea how successful it was going to be, but you put your heart into it. And this success in some way is part of what you built. I mean, Mitch was a huge fan favorite, and that wasn't just because it was thrust on him. He engaged the fans. He didn't just walk in the locker room after every single game. There are 1,000+ T-shirts. Mitch says no. Him jumping through an O, running around Cincinnati.
I've got 2 of them.
Yeah. So I'm happy for him. He's going to get the shot that he's probably always dreamed of in Atlanta. He might get to go in if there's any kind of an injury situation. He is starting in front of 70,000 fans. That's the dream. So good for him.
So here's the thing. I did make that joke there about Gwinnett. But Brad Guzan will go to, I'm sure he'll have some U.S. men's national team call-ups to the World Cup.
Wow, you went there again? Dang, you're on fire tonight, Angry Brian.
Angry Brad. No, honestly, Brad Guzan will go to some places, and Alec Khan or Mitch will have an opportunity to play. And when you're a club like Atlanta, who you don't have the developed academy infrastructure yet to bring up a young kid like a Spencer Ritchie to put in as your third goalkeeper, you do need to go out there and get somebody like a Mitch Hildebrandt that has played in front of 25,000 people and not shrunk away. He's going to be a proven commodity. Is he the best keeper managing the box? No. Is he one of the best reaction keepers in all of U.S. soccer? Absolutely. And, that you can get that done. I really think the fact that he played in front of the huge crowds in FC Cincinnati played a part in this decision for Atlanta to bring him in, because that's, you're afraid of people shrinking in those situations when you've seen Mitch get better. So I think it's a great move for him. I have all the respect in the world. Yes, I kid about them, but this guy's absolutely deserved it. Will he probably spend some time with Gwinnett, the USL club? I think so. Him or Alex Khan, I'm sure will probably spend some time down there. Alex Khan.
I think he's gone.
Who?
Khan. I think
I don't know about that.
Think about it. They can't protect him in the expansion draft, so you got a chance for LA to snag him there. And there's plenty of teams like LA Galaxy that need keepers, and Atlanta's hogging 3. I mean, I honestly think that he's gone.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I still think he's a great signing for all those things I mentioned there. Sad to see he moved on, but I think we're going to forget him. Guys, this guy who I said personally, I think he's an FC Cincinnati Hall of Famer, regardless if you believe a guy needs to be here 8 years or 2 seasons, whatever. I think he's done so much for the club. You said he's the face of the franchise, but I think we got a stud coming in that's really going to be impressive.
And let's also remember, too, Mitch had a lot of success last year in what tournament? The Open Cup, right? And the Open Cup, it will be a great time for Atlanta United to give Guzan some rest. He can't play every single game between the sticks for Atlanta United. So the Open Cup is going to be a great opportunity for him to get some minutes there for Atlanta United, provided that he's the number 2. Well, we hope that's the case. You kind of somewhat joked about Brad Guzan not being around this summer for the United States men's national team. Well, Soccer United Marketing has that secondary tournament they're looking to put together for all those, basically the NIT of the World Cup. So Guzan might be getting called there. All right, yeah, we can talk about it. Anyway, I was half kidding, but I guess it's going to get serious a little bit later on. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I got a point to talk about that.
Okay, and I'm just going to say this, and I'll wrap it up on Mitch here, because we did have this comment that came in through YouTube earlier tonight. It says, I cried when I saw Mitch was leaving. So that's the kind of emotion Mitch evoked from FC Cincinnati fans. A lot of folks upset on Friday. A lot of folks that said, all right, time to move on. We can get better at that position. He certainly had his flaws, but I'll tell you what, we will never forget that night against the Chicago Fire at Nippert Stadium. We will never forget that night. And so, and it's going to go down as one of the best nights in club history. And I know it's a short history, but it's going to go down. And I think whenever they do have a Hall of Fame or whatever they're going to do to celebrate the past of FC Cincinnati, it's going to be real tough to not have him in that inaugural class. Whether you think he was not a good goalkeeper, he was the face of this team and had big saves for this club. So Mitch, if you're listening, which you may not be, but if you are, thank you for being a great guest on our show, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck in Atlanta. I think everybody here agrees with those sentiments. So moving on now to the other announcement that came down today, Austin Berry hanging him up. Now, this is another one where I think when we saw the signings earlier this offseason, them bolstering the back line, that we were all kind of maybe not surprised that Barry wasn't back. I think we're surprised that he decided to retire and go into coaching full-time. I was surprised by that news, but it was announced today that he is retired as a player and will be a full-time coach here at FC Cincinnati. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I'm going to put this goodbye letter away since I don't need it. I'm happy he's sticking around. Local kid. played for the team, and we get to see a lot more of him. And he's just gonna help this next generation, this next chapter in FC Cincinnati history improve.
I think it's a vital position that he's filling too. He's going to be responsible for establishing schedules and training programs so the players can enhance and maintain peak performance for a club that wants to be in the MLS and in a few weeks could be in the MLS. That's a very important position to have.
I just laughed that he didn't go to Louisville because they were all praying for him. So, no. Oh, shoot. No, Austin, thanks, man. You know, stop getting sappy here, but you gave credibility to the club when we needed it off the bat. So appreciate your time. You killed it. You killed it, man, and did all we can ask for one of our own. He's one of our own. Austin Berry. He's one of our own. Sorry. Pouring out for my homie.
That was good. I liked it. A little off key, but you did it. Nice job.
Oh, dude, I'm terrible.
I'm kidding.
Terrible.
I'm kidding. But no, we wish you nothing but the best, Austin, in your retirement from playing, and looking forward to having you around. And that just means more chances to have him back on our podcast. So I'm glad that he's going to be here in town still with the coaching staff. So that is that. We also, I guess we found out too, Dallas J also not back. That was announced as well. So Dallas, congrats. And we wish you nothing but the best of luck with your future as well. All right, so do we want to talk about Major League Soccer expansion, Brian Weigel?
Abso-friggin-lutely we do.
I mean, I don't know how much more
we've been talking about. You know, as people were talking about this today, like somebody posted our story on Reddit, and I said, I've blown through like my alcohol budget. Like it's not healthy for me anymore. As you see, I'm like a couple deep in already tonight, but yeah, so at least we're one of the final four, right, guys? You know, Xavier and UC haven't been able to do that in like 50 years, so that's good.
Dang.
Hey.
This guy is on fire tonight.
Oh, shoot. Now, it was announced last Wednesday. Of course, I'm sure everybody's heard by now. But if you haven't, Nashville, Sacramento.
Yo, get over there, Rob.
Yeah. Nashville, Sacramento, the city that's in Michigan, and Cincinnati are the four finalists, really probably three finalists for this MLS gig. So, yeah, guys, knowing that and knowing, you know, everything we have so far with our stadium plan, we all know the majority of those four or the other three city stadium plans. Do we feel any worse, better, or do we feel good going into this week's meetings up in New York with Jeff Birding and Carl Lindner and the expansion committee?
Feel better, but man, I feel worse. Does that make sense? I mean, it's good
to
finally be locked in the Final Four. We felt it coming, but you never know, and so that's solidified. We're a proven market, but now you just like battle back and forth in your brain. You know, you got that homerism that says, of course we're going to make it. You know, we're the only ones in lower division soccer that are just killing it. Like Sacramento's good, but we are better. And then you got this unknown in Nashville. Are they going to take the Nashville dreams of maybe becoming another Atlanta, even though they're 4 times smaller? Or, you know, it's just all up in the air, and we have no idea what those guys sitting at a boardroom are going to do. I mean, I think even the people in Sacramento who are thinking that they're a deadlock, at the end of the day,
little doubt.
It's going to be some guys in a boardroom deciding how much each metric matters.
I feel the same as I've felt the last few weeks, cautiously optimistic. I was writing my case for the MLS story yesterday and seeing what we've got planned coming up for the rest of the week. FCC genuinely, legitimately has a case to make, and I don't think that's just lip service as a supporter. I'd like to think that if I were in the boardroom along with the rest of those guys that I'd be saying that they should be in.
Nicholas?
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily have a feel any better or worse. I was already feeling pretty good about the chances of Cincinnati getting a Major League Soccer team. I still think that when it comes down to it, I feel like Nashville's pretty unknown. I don't know if they're going to be able to strike like they did with Atlanta this year. because we kind of were thinking Atlanta was, we weren't sure how that was going to play out there with Atlanta. And then the season ticket numbers just kept going through the roof for Atlanta United. And you're thinking, wow, why did it take so long for Atlanta to get a soccer team in Major League Soccer? Honestly, I don't know what Nashville will do or how it will play out. I almost feel like they can play it, Major League Soccer can play it safe with these. I don't want to rule Detroit out, but I kind of feel like they ruled themselves out with the way they handled the stadium situation there with the Ford family. But I think it would be good for Major League Soccer to pick Cincinnati and pick Sacramento, two regions that have been supporting soccer and supporting it significantly in the box office the last few years, and then announce Nashville as one of the other teams that's going to join later on. That way, because they have the new USL team that's going to kick off this spring, let them develop that fan base down there, knowing that Major League Soccer is on the horizon, and see what they can do, see if they respond. And you can always, we've seen how flexible they've been with Miami. Jeez, what's the rush? It could be 2030 at this rate before Miami gets a team. And hey, maybe they make a ruling that Miami's done, and they're going to say, enough's enough. We've got to move on, and then you take all three of those cities. That'd be a win-win for, well, not everybody in Miami, but I think it would be a win-win for folks here in Cincinnati and Sacramento and Nashville.
Let me give you an outsider's perspective here. So just to mention, ABCnews.com wrote a story on FC Cincinnati in Columbus, to be fair, this past week of positives FC Cincinnati and struggles of Columbus. ESPN wrote a glowing story about Harrison Delbridge coming out of the great market of FC Cincinnati. Today, Monday, Dayton was ranked the 4th best market, and Cincinnati was the 6th best market of all cities in the country viewing MLS playoffs, which we put in our story this past week, how our city needs to show we are watching these matches. So, gauging all those things, I want to give you an outsider's perspective. John Marhaller, Minneapolis Star-Tribune, wrote a great article on expansion and his thoughts. This is a market that MLS just expanded into with a club that had some history to it. So his quote in his piece was, "One of MLS's biggest struggles is that it tends to feel more like it was cooked up on the desk of an apparel marketing executive rather than an authentic sports league. Promoting teams that already exist like Sacramento and Cincinnati works against that perception of inauthenticity. Potential teams like Nashville, Detroit, meanwhile, are just quote-unquote brands, not teams. A soccer team talking about its brand is maddening. Let teams be teams. Let Detroit and Nashville's rich owners start teams first and then consider whether they belong in MLS." So a glowing review on why to pick Sacramento and Cincinnati. It makes all the sense in the world, MLS. Let's do it, baby. Come on. We're here for you.
I agree with you, only because I think the MLS has reached a point of it's mature enough. They don't have to go grab any other team. They can wait. They can make a Nashville wait, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Dude, man, we're the next Portland. I mean, I want to keep Columbus here because I think it'd be killer in a rivalry. But I think Ken Hedger's going to put out a story Tuesday about rivalries and how FC Cincinnati makes sense there, just because of just the drive where we can drive, other clubs can drive to our area, and it really does make a ton of sense for FC Cincinnati. So another thing today, guys, I don't know if you noticed it. Look at Jeff Birding in the piece today with Austin Berry. Look at how his posture is. Look at his face. Look how relaxed he is. This guy was stressed as hell the past 3 or 4 weeks, and he looked pretty comfortable. And he's been talking about how it's kind of been weighing on him a little bit. Man, just how he's been speaking, how he almost refers to us as a done deal, man. I think we got it. I really do, guys. I won't see you guys for another couple weeks here, so this is my calling it right now. We're getting in, so I can't freaking wait for that announcement.
You're missing the next how many episodes?
Well, we don't know if it's going to be on the 14th or the 16th. I won't be here next week, so
all right.
Gotta watch them damn babies, man. I'll tell you what, guys.
That's
why my
rough.
fantasy football team is don't have kids.
That's really the name of your
We're
team.
winning too, baby. First place, baby.
Oh my
Y'all
God.
think I'm lying?
I believe it 100%. And
Boston, words for the wise.
Speaking as a dad of twins, yeah, I hear you. Wow. So Brian's calling a shot now. He's saying FC Cincinnati. Well, I guess I should say Cincinnati will be selected as a MLS franchise. Well, what else did you think you were going to say, Bri?
Yeah, good point.
But what about you, Rob?
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead, Bri. Oh.
Diamonds.
For those of you
Famous saw
listening,
that today on Twitter.
for those of you listening to the audio podcast of this version, Brian held up a picture. Was it made by your son?
Son and neighbors, yeah.
Yeah, of the blue.
They're cute.
The blue and orange diamonds, and it just said FC. We needed to add another C in there somewhere. Yeah, they're just like the media down in Cincinnati that call it FC. Got to work on that crusade a little bit more. So, all right. So you wanted to talk about this NIT World Cup, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, hell yeah, guys. What not a better way to prove that we can host a World Cup match than selling 75,000 seats to USA versus Italy in Paul Brown Stadium. Paul Brown Stadium for an NIT World Cup. Come on, guys. It's freaking sweet.
Happening. It's not
That's
happening.
freaking sweet.
But let's wait. I thought that Paul Brown Stadium could not host a soccer game. Don't they have to make upgrades or fix the field or whatever before they could host a soccer game there?
Dude, have you ever seen Mike Brown turn down a $1 bill? Come on now. If you say, hey, here's 10 million bucks, put 5 million into the stadium, he'll be like, sure, let's do it. God, my impressions are solid. I'm just
Solid. I love it.
No.
I kind of went off on this off the air a few weeks ago when they announced that they were looking at putting together some sort of losers tournament, as I'd like to call it. And I just railed on the fact that it was Soccer United marketing, finding another way to make a buck. And you guys had it. You looked at it from the standpoint of, these guys need to be playing this summer, and this would be a good opportunity. But I don't know. To me, I think you didn't make the World Cup, and you should pay the price by not playing this summer. That's just my take. So,
Man, I'm being a selfish Cincinnati guy right now.
Yeah, I think it's too hard. Honestly, I'm going in skeptical. It's really hard to put together. It won't be FIFA sanctioned, and so there's a bunch of players that are not going to come, and the whole thing's going to fall apart. Calling it.
False.
I'd be down with it if you called it like the World Europa Cup or something like that.
Make them all walk out instead of holding kids' hands, put L's on their forehead like losers.
just let them drink beer on the sideline and make it. I don't know. I got nothing.
All right.
I mean, come on. You wouldn't want to see Gigi Buffon between the pipes in Cincinnati. Come on.
I don't think Gigi Buffon would suit up for this.
Come
thing.
on.
I think he's done.
Yes, he would.
Since we're talking theoretics, I got a Facebook question for you. Gus on Facebook asked, if FCC gets MLS bid, will Okoli come crawling back? Let's open it up a little bit more. USL this year. Okoli's got nowhere to go. Does he come back?
No.
Agreed. No.
Not even answering that.
What if it was
Sorry,
Major?
Gus.
If Major League Soccer picks Cincinnati, is Okoli a player on that squad? Possibly. Do you think that would be something that FC Cincinnati would entertain? Would you want that?
You could do it as a PR move. I mean, not to say if he wasn't starting for New York City, then why would he be starting for us in MLS?
God, thank God, Alan Koch is our technical director. I love you guys.
This guy is all over the place tonight. Holy cow! Oh man! All right.
Shoot! No, absolutely not. No.
All right, Let's go. Can we go a little more realistic? Connor on Twitter said, with Barry out, who is our 2018 season team captain?
Kenny Walker.
Here.
Nicholas?
I agree. Yep, Kenny.
Everybody. All right. Everybody is in agreement.
Dekel Kynan.
Really?
Yes. Dude, he's a leader of men. He's a leader of men. I'm telling you. No, seriously, honest to God. Like, I could see him coming in and, like, being the leader guy back there, locking it down. Yes, Kenny Walker. Kenny Walker is not a necessarily vocal guy, and I can see DeKal kind of just walking up to anybody or a ref and just, like, staring death daggers in his eyes and being freaking the man, dude. So, yeah, that's who my vote is. I mean, bringing him in from Israel, he's played all over. Might as well do it.
If I had to pick, I was gonna say if I had to pick a vice captain, he might be that guy. But I don't know. I think Walker's been here. He's got the experience of playing in Major League Soccer, albeit briefly. He was a rock for this team a year ago, and so that's my vote. Not that my vote has any meaning.
2018 international opponent. Yay or nay? Do you want to have a friendly?
Dude, Man City's locked up. Come on.
I'm going to say no. It's a World Cup year, so they're going to have a hard time getting a team there. So I'm going to say no friendly this summer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
They got a lot going on. They've got enough that they've got. If they get MLS, their focus is not going to be on international friendly. It's going to be on getting ready potentially for 2019 because that with Miami not being ready, and I know Don Garber has said, they're not worried about Miami and plans for 2019, but I've got to think that if they could pull it off, I mean, this would be the town to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we'll get somebody.
So you think there will be a friendly this summer?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I think it'll be a good friendly too. I think people are going to want to get out and about and do it. And the only thing is, well, since they're going to be in Russia, will they want to stay in Europe potentially? But they also might want to get away from Europe. So,
do you know something that we don't?
Teams. Yeah, sure. I always do. Don't give the ginger any Yingling light. That's all I gotta say. No, seriously, I think we will. I think it makes a lot of sense. You do have to, majority of some of these teams, how many Crystal Palace players are going to be in the World Cup? 4 or 5.
Sure.
You still need the other 30 on the roster to play games. So I mean, you could even bring in a Dortmund and still see a Christian Pulisic. So I think you got a shot.
We win a few more Open Cup games, and we're going to kick ourselves if we have another friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you'll see us taking our roster to 28 versus 24. So, yeah.
We'll see what happens. Stay tuned to Cincinnati Soccer Talk for the latest surrounding. Yeah.
We got a Twitter comment. He said, FCC versus the U.S. men's national team friendly. I hear they're free.
Ooh. They are open.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to see that score though.
No, that would be brutal. That would be real.
I heard they were available.
Oh, that's funny. All right, I think it's time we begin to wrap things up, shall we, gentlemen? Bry's one more beer away from throwing his microphone across the room. I'm kidding, of course, but no. We appreciate everybody being with us tonight here on this Monday night. If you're listening to this audio podcast, you got to tune in live. There's nothing like watching Cincinnati Soccer Talk live on Facebook or YouTube. I mean, you get to
watch
see
the video at least.
Yeah, you get to see Angry Brian when Griffin's on. You get to see Boston with his orange and blue Christmas tree. You get to see, I don't know, my ugly mug every
Brian
week
when he's on.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the Wolfman Bill when he's on. I mean, that guy's a legend. So you want to tune in every Monday night at 9:00. Join us on Facebook or YouTube. But, of course, if you can't make the live show, we certainly understand a lot going on. I don't even know what's going on in that other hand egg game going on in Cincinnati tonight.
They're winning.
Yeah, big time.
You just jinxed it. Anyway, so you can always find us on the podcast. You can find us on the podcast, audio on demand, iTunes, Google Play, and we've got an announcement coming up here real soon about the newest place where you can find FC Cincinnati. Not FC Cincinnati, where you can find Cincinnati Soccer Talk. here in the future. So stay tuned to that. I think on that note, we begin to wrap things up with our final thoughts. And I think we go to Rob Pierce first because I think he's going to lose a lung. Rob, you going to be all right?
I'm still getting over a cough. A little sputter here or there. I'll be fine.
Your final thoughts as we begin to wrap up?
My final thoughts. So we had Jack Stern on tonight. It was great to talk to him. 4 new players in the last week, a lot of personnel turnover. And as we talked about earlier, it's hard to see some of these guys, Mitch and Delbridge and Barry, leave the pitch. 3 very visible faces the last few years, fan favorites, great ambassadors. But it's great to see them move on in ways that really seem to benefit each of them. Thanks for your service to each of them. It's been said a few times, I'm sure, but we really are living in the good old days right now with this team. We'll miss the memories, and they all gave us great ones. And you look at who's left from the original team. We only have 3, Corbin Bone, Kenny Walker, Jimmy McLaughlin. But don't worry, the second generation will give us plenty of memories too. I'm thinking specifically of Forrest Lasso. He is quite a character, and I think he's going to be a hit on and off the pitch. But the rest of them as well. We'll have plenty of new memories to make, and hopefully on a higher stage.
Go get a drink, Rob. You've earned it tonight with good stuff. And of course, if you're listening to the show, Rob did a tremendous job tonight or this weekend putting together a piece today over at our website, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, talking about MLS expansion and FC Cincinnati. So go check it out over at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Rob, good stuff, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's head over now to the man with the Christmas tree, Boston, Brazil.
Hey, Soups, we are 10-plus days, give or take, probably give, away from finding out if we will get an MLS bid. It doesn't matter if you wanted the stadium in Newport, China, Oakley, West End, or Sarah Palin's house in Alaska where you could watch the World Cup. It is time to rally around this team. You too, Cincinnati media. Hold off on the conspiracy theories for like 2 weeks. I know it'll be hard, so I'm going to offer you this story instead. I plan on damming up the Ohio River with old Christmas trees. I'm going to steal a truck on December 26th, drive around the east side collecting thrown-out Christmas trees on the curb. I'm going to toss them all off the 275 bridge and bring severe flooding to Riverbend. Trust me, your readers are going to be much more interested in that story.
What the heck happened to this show tonight? Oh, Boston, that was funny. Well done. I appreciate you being with us tonight, buddy.
Don't do drugs.
Oh, Boston, you did good, buddy. You did good. Final thoughts as we get out of here, Brian Weigel.
This is more to Mitch Hildebrandt. I might say mean things to you during our matches next next season if you do make some appearances in USL. But I know you're respectful enough to shake my hand after the game, even though I might say some mean, hurtful things to you. So I respect you a lot there, and I'm sure we'll be okay. We'll be buddies. Nobody got that joke. All right, good.
I got every bit of that. Every bit of that joke.
So,
jeez.
On a better note, we've branched out into FIFA Mobile on Cincinnati Soccer Talk as a league. So head over and interact with us on FIFA Mobile if you have your iPhone, Android device. We have a league over there, Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Check us out. Just another way to interact with FC Cincinnati people out there. And guys, super excited. I think it's going to be some great things. And once that the great news comes out, we're going to be taking champagne showers and celebrating all night long and having a good old time celebrating our club's future. So let's go FC Cincinnati.
Good stuff, Bri. Appreciate it. And I know you're quite happy after Xavier's win over the weekend. And we'll just leave it at that. He's holding up, for those of you, there he goes. He's holding up his X. Okay. All right. I got to quickly change that shot.
Sorry, guys. I still love UC. I worked there. I have all the respect for UC. I just grew up a Xavier fan. Hate on me. I'm sorry.
Anyway, as we move on, my final thoughts. You know what? I don't get to do this very often, but I'm looking forward this weekend. I am heading down to the Tri-State. For those of you who don't know, if you're new to this podcast, I live about 3 hours north in a suburb of Toledo called Perrysburg. And you're wondering, well, what the heck am I doing hosting a Cincinnati Soccer Talk podcast? Well, my heart has always been in Cincinnati. And so I'm looking forward to coming home this weekend, albeit very briefly, to celebrate Christmas with the Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Oh, man, I can't even talk. Cincinnati Soccer Talk
Talkers.
staff. We're going to have a good time this weekend. I don't even know if we've nailed down a place yet, but it's going to be a good time. I think at some point this weekend, I'm just going to invite everybody to join me at a Skyline somewhere. Just see how many folks show up. And come have a Coney with me. Talk some soccer. And, yeah, should be fun. Looking forward to being down there this weekend with you gentlemen. And having some fun. Celebrating Christmas with the CST staff. So I know we've got a few episodes before Christmas. So we'll have our, of course, our Christmas wishes and celebrate Christmas with all of our Cincinnati Soccer Talkers before then. But it's going to be a good one. Thank you, everybody who watched us live tonight. Thank you for everybody who has downloaded the show. If you've downloaded the show, thank you very much. Consider supporting our show. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support is where you can do that. So, for Brian Weigel, Boston Brazil, and Rob Pierce, I am Subes, reminding you to watch your tackles. We will see you all next week.